Mistakes of the night. Full-blown LSD psychosis. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's known one, and welcome back to today's report. Today's report was sent in by Steven, where he took LSD and cannabis. And here's the full report details. Alright, welcome back to another acid report. This being one of the most wild ones yet. And at this point, it takes a lot to say that. This report is long and detailed, so I'll just say it was a near-death experience. And I'm not talking about ego death. It's scary to see just how violent this gets, but it just shows many things are possible with psychedelics. You'll just see what I mean. I'm sure you'll enjoy this, so without further ado, let's dive right into this. There are only two people to reference in this story. One will be Z and one will be K. This happened during February of 2015. I'm going to go into detail that I never felt comfortable telling anyone, to give an idea of what a train wreck can actually be like and involve. Report. It was mid-February 2015. I was what I considered to be a psychonaut, though I now know today I was just a reckless idiot trying to escape the terrible reality I was in. My ego was through the roof. I was doing all these high doses of LSD, snorting addies, and doing general reckless shit a 16-year-old shouldn't be doing. I dressed like I cared what everyone thought of me, because I did at the time. I was edgy, worked at an edgy store, hung out with edgy people, and did edgy things. Looking back now, I think a huge part in this was born when life for me as a teenager quickly tumbled down. Multiple stepdads, multiple homes, witnessing domestic violence and abuse. I wanted to escape that so bad. I became some sort of weird persona that wasn't me. This will be important later on. A little background on me and Kay, the other main person in this report, because I feel it's important. Kay and I had only known each other for maybe 5 months or so. Rule number 1, do not trip with people you aren't very familiar with, and people you have a close relationship with. Kay and I have tripped a few times, but on lower doses and with sober people around. Kay is about 6'4" and weighs about 250 to 300 pounds. Kay is a big guy. He was 19 years old at the time. I was working at a clothing store inside of a mall at the time, and I was getting off at 9:30. Earlier that day, I was hitting at the usual plug, Z, who always helped me get Lady Lucy whenever I wanted it, and for a good price too. Z was sick at the time, and he was really pushing me to come another time. Boy, if I wasn't an asshole at the time, saying, okay, maybe another time, maybe it might have saved me from this whole experience. Though at the same time, I'm very thankful for what happened, and I'll get into why that is at the end. Z reluctantly agreed that I can come through and pick it up after work. I didn't drive at the time, so Kay agreed to pick me up after work so we could pick it up and trip at his place, because his parents were gone for the weekend. Kay picks me up at around 10 p.m. and we drive to Z's house. We arrive at Z's house to get the acid, and after doing all this walking around looking for his house in the dark, we found it, picked it up, and headed back to Kay's house. It's about 10:45 when we get back to Kay's house. I'll give a brief description of the layout, so you have a better understanding of where these events took place. To the right of his front door, there was a staircase that led down to the basement. At the bottom of the steps, there's another door that leads to the main room of the basement. That's pretty much where Kay lives. Anyways, we get to Kay's basement and the eagerness begins. We decide to clean up a little bit first before tripping to make sure everything is aesthetically pleasing to the eye while we're tripping. Kay pulls out the 10 strip. They're tiny tabs with a strange color pattern on the back. They had a white background with different color outline shapes. They kind of look like what I know now to be boy round tabs, though I don't think they were. I, without hesitation, take 2 while K takes 3. The dosage is unknown, but if I had to guess, I'd say they were over 200 microgram tabs. I have taken 5 plus tabs before, and none of those trips even matched this. Perhaps they were even more than 200 micrograms, but they were absolutely not your regular strength tabs. Though I'm not blaming the dosage. I was not in the right place in my life to be taking LSD, and the dice rolled not in my favor on this night. Up until this point, I've never even tried drawing something while on LSD. Like actually drawing something. I've drawn cliche scribbles and random shapes, but I wanted to actually try and make something. So I got a piece of paper and a pen and began to draw. I draw something horrendous. I wish I would have had that picture recovered, or else I would have included it as an attachment. But that, as well as many other things, got lost that night. I drew a weird slug creature. It looked disgusting, but I thought it was cool at the time. It's now about 11:30 p.m., and we are tripping. I will spare the cliches. Walls melting, vivid colors, and geometric patterns, but they were definitely there. At the time, it didn't seem more intense than what 2 tabs should do, so I didn't question them. Kate turns on Dragon Ball Z, and this is where things go downhill fast. If you ever tried watching an anime while sober, you know that there's sometimes really long freeze frames and pans between characters. This made me feel unsettled. Time felt like it was slowing down tremendously, and not in a subtle way at all. We also smoked some weed in between episodes, maybe 2 bowls max during the night. It's about 1:30 a.m. Out of nowhere, something happens that I to this day have no way of explaining. We are still watching DBZ, and we stop tripping. I can only speak in detail for me, but from what Kay was saying, the same thing happened to him. The trip stopped. The wall stopped moving. The colors became less vibrant. I felt like myself. I felt very normal, as if I didn't take anything, as if I didn't even smoke weed. I even had that slimy, dirty feeling you normally get after a night of tripping. I felt completely and utterly sober, which is clearly impossible, given it's only been 2 hours or so since the trip began. But apparently, we were both too gone to realize that fact. I go upstairs to the bathroom because I had to piss like a racehorse. All was good. Another successful trip, I thought. That was kind of short, but at least it's over, I thought, as I was moving my hair out of my face before leaving the bathroom. Well, the next events will forever change my life, perspective of reality, and general sanity. I came back downstairs to continue watching DBZ with Kay. I began to feel odd. I felt like the basement and house was cut from reality and pasted into some sort of timeless void. All events outside of this house were frozen in time. What was happening in reality was only happening in the time frame of 1 second in real time, even if I was going to be there for 1,000 years. Kind of like Tsukuyomi Genkai from Naruto, where anyone in it is frozen in time and tortured for years and years, but it only appears to be a second in real time. I had this primal fear that the show DBZ itself was gotten away. Like this entire night is going to revolve around this show, and the events happening in it will reflect in real life. I'll get more into this soon. I didn't want to give off to Kay that I was starting to freak out a little bit, so I tried my hardest to play it off. We go upstairs because Kay wanted to find something to eat. On 3/4 up the stairs, when I start looking at a single couch in the corner of his dark living room. I then have the most realistic hallucination I've ever had on LSD. I see, not shitting you, a skeleton witch sitting in the chair. I could vividly see its bones, its skeleton arms resting on the armrest, a black robe, and a sort of cliche but rugged witch hat. I am in a complete daze at this. I am crawling up the remaining stairs, being dragged to it like I was a siren singing. I slowly walk towards it with my arms reaching out to touch it. Before I get to it, maybe 3 or 4 feet away, Kay calls out to me. "What are you doing, dude?" It completely snapped me out of it. I turned around and said, "I don't know. I thought I saw something." He laughed and told me to come over there and try something. At this point, I fully believe Kay is either sane or some sort of demon, and I must obey him if I want to be okay. He gives me something in my hands to eat, and I eat it. It's dry, grainy. Can't really make out what it was, but it tasted like shit, I know that for sure. Almost like dry dirt. He starts laughing at me and "You really just ate that? Wait." I nervously start laughing. Not laughing because it was funny, but laughing because I was extremely scared at this point. I was laughing to appease whatever Kate was, the decider of my fate. Kate goes back downstairs and I follow. I'm slow to the stairs. He's already in the basement room by the time I get to the top of the stairs. I stumble onto several things like a baby gate and some shoes, almost falling down the stairs. He yells, "What are you doing out there?" I reply with something on the lines of, "Just trying to walk, sorry, on my way down." I get downstairs and it starts to get even more intense. The feeling of being trapped in time was increasing. The feeling of impending doom was looming over my head as if I could reach up and grab it. It's about 3:30 a.m. Time is frozen. I stare at the clock for what seemed like hours. 3:30 a.m. I felt as if I was trapped in that basement, and there was no easy way out of tonight. I couldn't stop thinking, oh boy, what have I gotten myself into? And I can get myself out of this. There has to be a way. I get out of everything. I remember really wanting my mom at the time. I went to the TV to see what episode was on next. I wish I was making this up because it really sounds like a fictional plotline at this point, but the episode was called Mistakes of the Night. I was hallucinating heavy at this point, so it's no surprise my brain made up these insane dot connections and maybe even portrayed those onto the real world, like the title of this episode. I knew in my mind that it was talking about tonight. It was talking about me. It was my time to pay for all the bad I've done in my life, and to test whether or not I had the will to continue living. The episode consisted of Goku and Frieza fighting. Goku represented me and my will to live, my strengths. Frieza represented death. Perhaps not death himself, but the force that is death. Whatever demon that was here with me on this night was letting its presence be known and acting in the real world through DBZ and K. Whatever happened during the show reflected in real life. After this insane thought loop of realizing all of this, enough was enough. Okay, I just need to get some water, I thought. I stand up with a look as if I've seen a ghost. Probably. Kay is standing out the door, with a clear change in expression, as if he's also extremely lost. I ask him if I can go upstairs and get a glass of water. He then began to look very pissed off and angry, while also looking emotionless at the same time. I nervously ask him to move so I can go upstairs, and he clenches his fist. This alerts me, and I put up mine as if I know what's about to happen next. After all, Frieza is currently kicking Goku's ass, so it's about to be reflected in real life. Kei punches me in the face and knocks me down to the bed that is beside us. Kei is currently on top of me with his head in my neck and chest, pounding on me. I try to fight back as much as possible, but you have to understand, this man was a giant and there was no way I was going to force him off. I was slamming the top of his head with my fist, begging for him to stop, absolutely sobbing. This is my first punishment. This happened several times after. I could only taste metal from the blood coming from my mouth. I was rocking side to side, like someone who was close to getting knocked out. I was stumbling around the room while Kate was yelling, "Stop! Stop! Calm down! What is going on?" The fights between Goku and Frieza were seemingly directly impacting what was going on. Kate was the embodiment of Frieza, which was the embodiment of death. After another altercation, he stops and then starts hugging me very emotionally, telling me how sorry he is and how much he loves me. I am beyond shitting my pants at this point, metaphorically. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. I am extremely scared of not only K, but DBZ deciding my fate. these trials, if you will, these tests of will. Every time Kay and I would during the night, it had something to do with my will to live, or lack thereof, and it will reflect into Frieza and Goku's fights at the same time. I look up at Kay, utterly confused. No sense of who I am, no sense of who he is. I only know that my soul is on the line, and I need to appease this demon. After emotionally apologizing and hugging, I ask Kay to kiss me. I think Kay is my dad or some savior or something. Kay declines. I made another mistake, and I go back into a hellish spiral. I sit on the couch, feeling destroyed. I must apologize to my dad for ignoring him, and not showing the love he showed me as a child. I must also apologize to my mom for being an idiot. And probably the most painful of all, as a part of my trials, I had to lose the one I love, my girlfriend, who is still my girlfriend to this day. I began to text her. We have to talk. I had to break up with her. I had to hurt myself in that way to pass the trial. Thank God it was like 4 a.m., or else that would have probably ended up badly. Anyways, I was staring at him. Something had to be done before he kills me. I walked up to him, closed his laptop while he was on it, and pushed him while he was on the chair, saying, "Do something," in a "I'm not afraid of you" kind of way. Anyways, that ended up in another altercation. I don't know when this happened exactly, but at some point I had a glass of water, and Shenron from DBZ told me to dump it on my head to complete the trial of embarrassment, which I did. This is, however, the catalyst into the final major events of the night. I dumped the water on my head, and Kay was just looking at me in pure disappointment, shaking his head. I took my shirt off at this point, and wanted to get a towel from the laundry room. He told me not to, but I had to. It was my fault. I had to do it. I ran to the laundry room, slamming the door. I went into complete panic mode because I knew he was after me. I remember rushing to the washer, blood still pouring out of my mouth. I am twisting knobs and pressing buttons in a random and sporadic manner. I don't know why. I just knew that's what I had to do before he got me. I vividly remember blood spilling all over the buttons and knobs, my fingers leaving prints on it. It was a horrifying sight to me in the moment. I then strip off all of my clothes. This is still the trial of embarrassment. I am crying like an actual infant baby. I am making a fool of myself on purpose. Kate busts down the door, and I'm scared to death. We dance around a pipe that was in the middle of the room for a little bit, trying to get around him without him getting me. I then make my way past him and bolt up the stairs. I get to the door. I'm spinning the knob, trying to open it to escape, but it wouldn't open. I was probably too gone to realize there was a lock on it. Kate catches up to me and drags me to the ground. He starts dragging me to the stairs as I was clawing the carpet, trying to escape, like a horror movie. We get to the top of the stairs, and he throws me down them. I vividly remember being launched down the stairs. Not I lost my balance and fell, but get the fuck down there and don't come up kind of way. I remember tumbling down, but could hardly feel the pain. I could only sense I was being hurt. I remember mid-fall thinking of what a nightmare I was in. This couldn't get any worse, and I may die here tonight. I get to the bottom and run back to the laundry room, butt-ass naked, blood everywhere. I am completely lost. While all this is happening, I can see that everyone on the DBZ episode was flipped. All the animations were backwards. I was nearing the climax of the fight and the outcome of tonight. Kate comes rushing in and slams me to the ground. The floor in the laundry room of the basement is concrete. It hurts. I'm in full panic now. Kate is gonna kill me. He is covering my mouth tightly. I can't breathe. As he lets off, I am screaming at blood-curdling levels, "Help me! He's killing me! Help me! Help me! Help me!" in hopes a neighbor would hear and call the cops. He grabs a pillow and puts it over my face. I am slamming the concrete floor with my bare heels. I am slamming my head into the floor, trying to escape. It's my time. It's the only thing I can think about. That is it. As he is suffocating me with this pillow, I close my eyes. I see a purple ring with a pulsating skull in the middle. I start to feel weak. I must have blacked out at this point, but I end up in the living room. I remember being frozen on the floor. Then I begin to shake frantically and uncontrollably. Am I having a seizure? To this day, I'm not sure what that was, but I can only imagine it was a seizure. I go out of consciousness again. I awake standing up, with a police officer holding me up in the laundry room against the wall. The room is still spinning. I could hardly fathom what's going on, but I felt a sense of relief, like it was over. The officer then begins asking me all sorts of questions. What's your name? When's your birthday? What day is it? When's your mom's birthday? Some of which I knew the answer to, some I couldn't come up with at the time. I then let go of them and slowly regain some balance. I then walk outside of the laundry room door, seeing the broken glass table. Whole room's a mess, and is destroyed. 2 steps out, I fall to my knees, and then black out again. I wake up to 3 EMTs around me on case 4. I'm puking out blood violently. The paramedics are worried and decided I needed to go now. They put me in a stretcher, and I'm taken outside of the house. No feeling can ever compare to what the cold air hitting my skin felt like, what it felt like to be alive, to have survived such a nightmare. I remember staring at the house as they loaded me into the back of the ambulance, and heard a voice say, "Never return here. You have learned your lesson. Never come back." You're damn right I'm never coming back, I thought. I am fading in and out of it on the way to the hospital, still completely butt naked by the way. I hear the EMTs talking about my shitty humdone leg tattoo on the way there, but that's about all I can remember. I somewhat remember gazing out the back window of the ambulance and being so thankful. I get to the hospital and I'm in almost complete shock. I am crying so hard for water. My mouth was so dry. I felt like I couldn't breathe. I was starting to feel the pain on my wounds from the night. They take me to get a CT scan and an MRI. I remember being in the machine, feeling like I was on an alien ship. It was pretty cool, not gonna lie. I am then in my hospital bed. It is 5 a.m. or so. I am still begging for water, and the dude nurse that was there stole some ice chips for me because he felt bad. What a cool dude. Eventually, my mother and her best friend at the time, who was battling cancer, rest in peace, walk into my room. I can't describe what it's like to see her face. My mom is here. Everything is okay. She wasn't immediately upset. She was just scared, worried, and just glad to see her boy wasn't dead. I wasn't dead, but I was close. I think my mother still has pictures of what I looked like after that whole event, though I won't share them to hide my identity. Just though I didn't look like a person. My face was swollen 3 times its size. My right eye was completely shut and black. I had cuts, deep and shallow, all over my legs, some of which I still have scars from. I suffered permanent damage to my nerves and half of my face. For the most part, I've recovered some of the feeling, but I cannot feel the top right side of my lip still to this day. I had an orbital fracture, 2 fractured heels, and one hell of a mental wound. Anyways, I ended up calling my girlfriend and telling her a dumbed down version of what happened, and that I loved her. Soon after, the officer arrived and told me about the severity of what happened. He said as close to death as I was, I could press charges on K and possibly get him locked up for 10 plus years, as this was felonious assault. I declined, multiple times. We both fucked up big time. I just couldn't bring myself to justify doing that to K. I wanted to forgive, not punish. After the hospital, I was bedridden for about a month. Couldn't go to school in the shape I was in. I could hardly walk. I am not an atheist, though I don't necessarily believe in God. That whole experience made me question that entirely. I spent many days pondering existence and what happened that night. Was it really a trip? Did I somehow cross into another dimension? Was that a real demon? I also suffer from pretty bad anxiety, which caused some pretty disturbing delusions at some points. It is now June 2020. The years following were indescribably hard. I struggled and still struggle every day with what happened. It floats over my mind. Every day I think about it. I fell into a deep depression soon after the events, and it has followed me to this very day. Although the events were terrible, I gained important insights from it. I now believe I'm a better person because of it. I stopped dyeing my hair, took out most of my piercings, stopped associating myself with sketchy people. I regained a new sense of life, reborn, if you will. I try to understand people more, and I've slowed down with my own life. Stopped doing any drugs for months and months to come after the experience. I completely stopped taking pills and other stupid shit. I only smoke weed now, and even that can give me pretty intense flashbacks. I am mostly stable now, mentally, but the residual effects will probably be here for the rest of my life. I have not spoken to Kay since, and don't know if I ever will. I hope this serves as a cautionary tale to anyone who thinks they're invincible to a train wreck. The mind is fragile, and it's up to us as individuals to take care of it.